going to be another movie review. This one's called The Amityville Horror, 1979. This is going to be another AIP flick right before they started having financial troubles, thanks to Nixon going off the gold standard in inflation, high cost of production. Samuel Z. Arkoff wanted to do high production mainstream movies, and if I understand correctly, they grossed 20 times the budget for this movie, which was unheard of since one of their 1960 movies. The kind of money they made off this, although there were subsequent lawsuits. I don't know if AIP was involved. And about a year later, AIP got bought out by some company called Filmway. I think Nicholson had gotten out by long before, and Samuel Z. Arkoff was on his own pretty much for the decade of the 70s. And, so this is one of the last AIP movies. I think I have one more from 1980. That may well be the last one. I don't know. I didn't like this movie as much as the sequels. I thought Amityville, A New Generation, and Amityville 1992, It's About Time were much better movies. So this is kind of a rare situation where the original is not as good as the sequels, in my opinion. And I talked to Adrian about this, I think. I really love the sequels much more so than this one. And in fact, I tend to agree with the Roger Eberts and Leonard Maltin type reviewers. You know, the big shots, who say it's kind of boring, tedious, and not really much going on. Although when I was a kid, when I was my son's age, when this first came out, it really freaked me out. Just looking at the house itself, the two windows look like eyes, and so the front of the house kind of looks like an evil face, I guess. And they kind of twisted the story too, so I can understand why there were lawsuits, because according to the book, I think it was on ancient burial ground, and they're saying in this movie that it was the land was some kind of satanic cult at one point, and there's supposedly some kind of gateway to hell in the basement. But there's not really much. There's no gore in this, and there's not really much going on other than the kid gets his hand smashed by a window, and I don't really believe the whole story that George Lutz told, because subsequent families who lived in that house didn't really have the same problem. I mean, they weren't running out of the house screaming about how it's possessed by the devil or some kind of Toltec ancient burial ground. I don't know. I just, I'm kind of skeptical of these haunted house movies, although it did freak me out when I was a kid. Like I said, this was a really popular movie when I was in grade school, and I couldn't watch it because it was rated R. I couldn't get in, and it wasn't on cable at the time. Cable really came around in the early 80s. And I never saw it on cable for some reason. I guess I didn't go to enough kids' houses. My buddy wanted to see the Halloween sequel, the one that didn't have Michael Myers in it. I forget what it's called. But that one was on HBO, I know, because my friend saw it. And we were kind of older by then, probably, we're talking 12, 11 or 12 by then. So, this one came out a little bit earlier, and actually sat through it, the whole thing. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't actually filmed in the actual house. Because like I said, they were running into legal problems. And I don't know. I just thought it was, for the most part, it was a boring soap opera. There isn't much action in it. And it just goes, night by night, strange happenings. At first, the priest goes there to bless the house because Margot Kidder is Catholic, but I guess she remarried, and George Lutz is like the stepfather to her 3 kids. Really bizarre situation. I thought it was pretty cool though that it's a horror flick, and it's got a little subplot with them having financial problems with the IRS and bill collectors and whatnot. And I've never seen that in a horror movie before. Sorry, a bunch of people came. Hold on. I'm gonna try to do this downstairs. Anyway. So it's a rated R movie. I don't know why. It's Margot Kidder gets naked a lot, but it's kind of tricky camera angles. And the other guy is in his underwear, half naked most of the time. So there's that. At first, the priest who was the illustrated man, there's a swarm of flies in the room when he's trying to bless the house, like I was saying. And suddenly he's possessed by some kind of satanic force. He doesn't feel well, so he leaves the house. Eventually, he goes blind. And, nobody believes that the house is possessed by satanic force. The church kind of thinks he's crazy or something. Murray Hamilton is one of the church officials. He was in seconds, of course. The guy with the tennis trophy, Fidelis, whatever, that he inscribed on Rock Hudson's trophy thing. And he inscribed something in Latin. And there's also Don Stroud from Bloody Mama. He plays one of the skeptical priests who returned from Vietnam or something. He's got really long hair though, and he smokes a cigarette. So kind of has that exorcist feel to it, but I don't know. So I'm down in the garage now, where I can actually talk without people staring at me and stuff. And so weird things happen. The kid gets his hand smashed in the window. The window like drops by itself on his hand. Could have been force of gravity. Who knows? And then there's like this black pus coming from the toilet. The ending is pretty cool, and like I said, I like the financial difficulty angle to it. George Lutz, he doesn't want to work at his surveying business, just wants to chop wood, and he thinks the house is cold all the time. I don't know. My ex-wife thought this was a cool movie, but I think it's overrated. You know, having watched it finally 40 years later, it wasn't as scary as it was hyped up to be. Like I said, the sequels were better, and I don't know. I just thought it was boring and tedious, like Roger Ebert was saying, Leonard Maltin, those kind of people. So I kind of agree with them in that respect. Probably sold a lot of tickets because of the movie poster of the house itself and the book. Because people are interested in haunted house movie, I guess, at this time, late 70s. Didn't really scare me too much, although there are a couple of jump moments, like when there's a cat in the window, that kind of thing. I don't know. I just like the sequels a lot better, and I thought this one was kind of boring, but that's just me. There might be other people, other horror fans who enjoy this a lot more. It's kind of a mainstream, overrated movie. I don't know why it got an R rating. There's no real gore in it, and Margot Kidder, like I said, has a tricky camera angle when she's like parading herself around half naked in the house, and so you can't really see much of her. I think you see a lot more of her in that Sisters movie. I believe she was in the Brian De Palma flick, if I'm not mistaken. She was in it, and yeah, she gets naked a lot more in that one. Canadian actress Margot Kidder, who was also in Superman, by the way. So there's that. What else was I going to say about this movie? Oh, just I don't know. I just I just thought it was boring, kind of pace my way through it. I've been getting about 4 hours of sleep a day, and I think it's partially because I'd gone 4 days without drinking the red line, and all of a sudden I drank a half bottle, and it really kept me awake most of the night yesterday. Just couldn't nod off. So I'm gonna try to nod off after these people here leave. And the bonus feature has interviews with the actors. It's got the trailer and a bunch of other MGM features. So what happened to AIP was they basically went bust. They found a buyer by the name of Filmway. I think that's the name of the company, which later became Orion Pictures, which later became a distribution arm of MGM. So now all of the AIP movies are MGM. And get the lion roar at the beginning of all of them, all these discs. And then occasionally you'll see the Orion logo as well. And of course you get the AIP logo. So it's kind of an interesting history behind it. Like I said, I don't know if the filmmakers got sued over this after making a ton of money from ticket sales, but I don't know, it was all right. It wasn't that great. I thought the sequels were better, so can't say highly recommend it or check it out. I'm not gonna post the trailer in the description box, but you can watch the trailer on the DVD if you want to get the DVD. Yeah, that's about it. I thought it was interesting that Margot Kidder was like a single mom remarrying, and then she's Catholic. There's a lot of Catholic stuff in this movie, so that was kind of intriguing. But I don't know, just thought it could have been better. And the house wasn't really too menacing. I think if you want to see a better movie, check out like House 1977, the Japanese flick. I haven't actually seen that movie, but the Criterion trailer looks very good. And I'm almost tempted to add it to my Netflix queue. I think I saw it on one of the blog websites. I forget the name of it, but anyways, that looks like a better movie than this movie. I think I'd be more interested in watching that rather than this thing. But yeah, I was disappointed by this flick. Netflix expects me to rate it 5 out of 5 stars, but I'm gonna rate it 3 out of 5 stars. So yeah. So I couldn't really sleep yesterday. I wanted to nap in my car earlier yesterday morning while my son was in Chinese art class, and I didn't have much gas in my car, so I just got barely enough gas to get to the next gas station, and my tank was almost completely empty. I had about 11 miles left, and so I just used my loose change and tips from this job to get like a gallon and a half to get me from Millbrae to Daly City, where I can get cheaper gas like 258 versus 288. Or no, it's up to 3. What am I talking about? So 358 versus 388. The gas prices in California are crazy thanks to Governor Brown's gas tax. And so I saved about 30 cents a gallon on gas that way. But I was worried that I was going to run out of gas. And then I'd get stuck, or my son and I would get stuck on the freeway or something, waiting for a tow truck. So I did that. Then I went to get the Burger King spicy nuggets. They weren't spicy at all. I wasn't satisfied, so I had to get my spicy kick. I went to 7-Eleven, got the Monster Tabasco Slim Jim, which isn't very slim, it's very thick. And so I felt pretty full after that. Then I had a couple of giant burgers. Gave my son a giant burger, but he was making a mess, of course, with it, and so I just gave him a fork. Like he ate it piece by piece. First the top bun, and then the cheese and the burger, and then the bottom bun and all the mushroom. So he used to do that with the hot dog too. He'd eat the bun first, then the dog. And he was watching Who Was? I think that's the name of the Netflix TV show. That show is pretty bad. I mean, it's funny at times, but I don't know. Their history lesson is, they say Julius Caesar is kind of destroyed Roman democracy. I think they mean Roman Republic. They got democracy confused with Republican form of government. Anyways, it's kind of dumb in that regard, but occasionally the guy does funny jokes. The guy who can burp the entire alphabet since the age of 19, but he only burps from A to E in the show. So I kind of took care of some chores, got gas in my car. Then the left, just show you my car. The left headlight, kind of show you there. Yeah, right there. The left headlight went out, and so I had to make a quick run to AutoZone. I couldn't sleep anyway to take my final 3-hour nap. So I ended up taking a 1-hour nap because when I got home at like 7:30, the landlord and the tenant were yapping at each other in Mandarin right outside my door. And plus, I wasn't tired anyway. Like I said, the combination of sleeping 11 to 12 hours some nights last week, and also not having all that crap from the red line drink in my body for like 4 days kind of threw me off. So anyways, long story, I just wanted to get that in. And I'm not really terrified of flies or houses attacking people per se. Like I said, the House movie looks scarier than this one. And I guess it just freaked me out when I was a kid because I was only 7 years old and I didn't understand that a house can can't really attack people. It's all a fictional account of what probably didn't happen, especially after all the other families didn't experience what George Lutz allegedly experienced. So, yeah, that's the end of my review. Hopefully, I did a thorough job explaining the story behind the movie. And they said there were some weird happenings, like the lunch fell on their lap by itself, sort of like the odd occurrences during the filming of The Exorcist. I think they were just doing that as a marketing ploy. But like I said, I'm skeptical about all this super